All right, Colts fans. So today I want to make a quick video about how a Tampa 2 defense actually saved the Colts season, because we all know the Colts right now with these last couple games are kind of in a fight for their life for not only their division, but also just to make the wild card. Even with 7 teams making it this year in the AFC and NFC, the AFC is super, super tight. It looks like there's going to be a 10-6 or an 11-5 team that'll miss the playoffs. So the Colts definitely needed this win that they got on Sunday. And outside of the big forced fumble by Darius Leonard at the very end of the game, the other huge play that kind of won the game for the Colts was this seam shot throw here to T.Y Hilton. And surprisingly, the Texans were running a staple of the Colts defense in running a Tampa 2 defense. So they're going to actually have the safety drop out here to that deep halves coverage right here, and we're actually going to have this safety drop into deep halves over here. Now, if you guys don't know what the difference between a Tampa 2 defense is and a cover 2 defense, they're very similar. Almost everything is exactly the same, except the middle linebacker, which is going to be this guy right here. If there is a seam shot, so here Hilton's going to be going up the seam. If there is that seam shot, where in a normal cover 2, he's just going to drop into this mid zone right here. Now, what he's going to do in a Tampa 2 is he's actually going to flow with that seam and carry that seam deep, and sometimes carry him right to where the safeties are, but the safeties have other vertical routes on the outside. They're going to stay on those, and that linebacker is responsible for carrying that seam shot. So it is kind of a susceptible part of the Tampa 2 if you don't have a linebacker that can run with whoever that seam shot wide receiver is going to be in the slot. And that's kind of what happens here. So we're going to talk about this play exactly. The way it starts is the Texans are trying to simulate some pressure. So what they're doing is they're stacking the box. They have this middle linebacker right here who's actually going to drop in the coverage. He's lining up over Quentin Nelson. They're trying to just create confusion up on the offensive line, trying to get just pressure mistakes and assignment mistakes here from the O-line. They're trying to get them to anticipate rushers that aren't actually coming. And they're trying to get Rivers to get the ball out of his hand quick. But the Colts offensive line picks it up really well. They don't really get confused by all this muddy traffic up here. But what the Texans are going to eventually do is drop this linebacker into that Tampa 2. And when they're doing that, like I said, his responsibility is that seam player, which is T.Y Hilton, and he's going to carry him deep down the inside hash here, and he's going to carry him down the field. The big problem with that is I don't think there's a linebacker in football who could probably carry T.Y Hilton effectively down the middle. And I think Texans defense coordinator and interim head coach Romeo Crennel even said after the game the big mistake on this play was giving too much responsibility to the middle linebacker Tyrell Adams. And that's kind of what happens here. I mean, Adams is playing some decent football this year, but if you're asking him to stand over Quentin Nelson over here on the inside and then find your seam receiver, which is T.Y Hilton, and then carry him down the field with, the safeties are kind of getting their outside halves. They're not really exactly watching that inside. That's a tough assignment for any linebacker, let alone a player like Tyrell Adams, who isn't a superstar in this league. So we're going to watch right here. I'm going to get this out of the way, and we're going to watch this play. So Hilton starts right there. And again, you're going to see Adams is coming off, and he's going to carry this shot here by Hilton. The safeties are watching the outside routes. They're going to get into their halves coverage. And what we're going to have is it kind of opens up, because what the Colts do a really good job at is they have Pascal's threatening the outside here. So the safety's eyes needs to be on the outside. And then I think this is Mo Alley Cox, the tight end, is going to be running a C route. So this up top safety is going to be having his eyes out there, which essentially opens the middle of this defense for T.Y Hilton to hit that seam shot. And the only defender who's really in the vicinity for this coverage is going to be that middle linebacker who's running with T.Y Hilton, which, again, he has no chance. So, this could have been any linebacker in the league. He's likely not going to be keeping up with T.Y Hilton. But this was just a beautiful design by the Colts to attack those outsides by getting those safeties to keep their eyes outside so they couldn't help on the middle, and then just kind of attacking that Tampa 2 where it's vulnerable, where this linebacker was kind of put into a really tough situation. He's not making this play. There's not many linebackers who are going to make this play. And Phillip Rivers delivers a beautiful ball here to T.Y Hilton for the big play. But, I want to make this little video on just how the Tampa 2 defense kind of saved the Colts season, because without this play, we could be talking about the Colts being on the outside looking in for the playoffs and maybe, losing this game. But you can see even again from this angle here, the Texans are trying to simulate that pressure. They're having all these guys in the box. They're trying to get, Nelson to commit here so he can't help inside. However they really want to get it. Maybe Watt can get his one-on-one if you are able to simulate this pressure well enough. But it kind of backfires on the Texans because they're asking this linebacker here from basically a point of being level with T.Y Hilton, going from the on the line and carrying a player like T.Y Hilton down the field. And that's just something that's impossible to ask a linebacker to do. And like I said, Rivers just drops a dime in there, and it's a beautiful play, and the Colts were able to score 2 plays later and go on to win this game. So in a way, the Tampa 2 defense, a defense that's kind of been a staple of not only this Colts team, but of the Tony Dungy teams in the past, and kind of where defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus got a lot of his influences. It kind of ended up saving the Colts season in a way, and maybe they were able to understand that's what the Texans were going to do there and how they wanted to attack it because of their own knowledge of that type of defense and their own style that they, kind of already used to. So this is just a really great play design. Like I said, I really like how they attack the outsides here, make the safeties open up the middle, and then they attack that great matchup with Hilton in the slot. And just an excellent play call, excellent throw, great protection. Everything was perfect, and the Colts stay alive in this playoff hunt. So hopefully we see more deep shots like this going forward here.